Well, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, we would be reviewing the Insane Clown Posse, Hell's Cellar. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am pretty sure that since everything had transpired and changed, as everything evolved, this is the first time we were actually reviewing an Insane Clown Posse project. Now, I was excited for this. You guys heard my authentic excitement for seeing and hearing Hell's Cellar. It's not bad. It's not what I hoped it would be, but I have some defenses that other people simply don't have. Now, there's been people who are like, yo, this sounds like this song. This sounds like this song. When people were saying that, and I was hearing it, and I was reading the comments, and I understood it, and I didn't blame them for thinking that because, again, like, Pass the Axe with fucking Dark Lotus and shit like that. It just kind of echoes within Hell's Cellar. Now, we are not here to talk about any bit of politics, any bit of opinion or belief. We are simply here to talk about the music. Now, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to review it, and in order to review this properly, we need to revisit Hell's Pit and Shangri-La. So in Shangri-La, there's been a couple of songs on there that kind of gave us a hint to Hell's Pit. And in Hell's Pit, there was a little bit of an echo to Shangri-La. Now, Hell's Cellar actually kind of brings that to fruition. Now, if you guys remember Hell's Pit, you guys will know that there's a song on Hell's Cellar called Clown Show. And it kind of echoes one of the songs that's on Shangri-La, so on and so forth. Now, if you believe in like the whole Dante's Inferno thing where it's like, Shangri-La's heaven, Hell's Pit's hell, the Echo Side, whatever. There was even an argument where people were saying it shouldn't be called Hell's Pit, it should be called Echo Side because it was never supposed to be introduced to hell, Shangri-La's heaven. Like, Hell's Pit's just kind of too in your face, whatever. The point is, Hell's Cellar, it's decent. It's good. I actually liked Clown Show. I liked how it kind of revisited Shangri-La with that similar beat and then kind of reversed it. So it was like kind of like the other end. It's kind of like the reverse of Shangri-La's tracks that we had seen. Those of you who are familiar with Shangri-La, those of you who are familiar with Hell's Pit, you guys might think this album, no pun intended, is absolute fire. You might think, it's just a copy of this and this and this. I'm here to tell you the production's good. The beats are good. There wasn't a whole lot of Shaggy on it like I would have liked to have had. He did do an intro to one of the songs. I think it was called Taking It Away or I Can See It All. It was one of those songs that he's doing the intro. That's the most that we hear from Shaggy. And it sounded to me that intro was actually added. Now, it was added well. I thought it was a great way. If it was in fact added, I think it's a great way to really shine home Hell's Pit. And I think that having Shaggy doing that is great. I don't really care if it was recorded prior to. If there was some songs that are like, we'll just call these throwbacks. We'll call these lost tracks or whatever. Or, hey, let's save these. Let's take these tracks, record them deliberately, and then we'll record this, re-record this, mix it, and then throw it out there for the next gathering or for this specific year, whatever. Whatever the case may be. The album itself as an EP is decent. Now, if you look at the Calm kind of leads away from and into Hell's Pit, back and forth, and you look at Hell's Cellar, it's actually kind of adding to the story. Now, Hell's Cellar takes nothing from Shangri-La or Hell's Pit except for the fact that, one, it echoes it. It brings back the messages that we've seen, the things that we've heard. And it did a good job at doing that. The album was very much cut and to the point. The extended intro I absolutely loved. I think that was one of the things that people really loved about the album is that the introduction was done phenomenal. And I think that it being extended made it that much better. Did I think it was necessary to put onto an EP like this? I mean, it's supposed to be like a lost track thing. I think that would have been better for a forgotten freshness. However, since it did exist, it works for Hell's Cellar. The songs, I got a couple of favorites here. Now, one of the things that I know that we've been discussing when it comes to my reviews is, well, you're not really specific on the songs that you like, the ones that you don't like, whatever. Or you're having issues with this part of the album or didn't do this. Well, again, this is another storytelling thing. So for the second time now, we are doing a storytelling this is part of a legacy. This is part of a long story that's gone on for quite some time. Alakazam was probably one of the worst, and I can see it all. It sort of reminded me of some of the new Joker cards. It reminded me of that new Insane Clown Posse a little bit. That's it. I'm not saying whether it is or isn't. I don't care. I'm simply saying this is a review. It sounded a lot like what we have heard many, many a times. The best song on there, in my honest opinion, was Clown Show. When I listened to Clown Show, I was like, oh, that's perfect for Hell's Cellar. Like, when I want to hear Hell's Cellar, like, that's the kind of shit that I want to hear was Clown Show. Can't Find Myself was dope. And I got to admit, The Truth was probably the best way to seal it. Again, being part of Hell's Pit, if I was to listen to the album, I see why they weren't on Hell's Pit. Hell's Pit was much darker than that of Hell's Cellar, and I think they chose the most vicious and vile to go on that album. And Hell's Cellar was a little bit more tame than in Hell's Pit. What I also liked about Hell's Cellar was they didn't do anything different with the artwork. They didn't try blowing it up into something that it wasn't. They didn't try anything like that. The album, as far as I can tell, for artwork is dope. The tracks, again, production's good. It sounds just like Hell's Pit. It sounds a lot like Shangri-La. And the fact that they echoed a little bit of Dark Lotus, I thought was dope. Especially with The Truth and then Spontaneous Combustion and how that all kind of ties in. And if you listen to the songs, they go right into one another. As if it's continuous. It's not like you skip this track and go to this track. You can, much like you can with Shangri-La and Hell's Pit. However, this was more of again, an addition to the story of the Wraith, to people when they're at their worst, the thoughts and everything like that, and it kept true to it. That's my basic understanding of Hell's Cellar. Now, the concept behind it, there's been no story, there's been no hype. It was just a simple announcement. And I thinking back to how excited I was about Hell's Pit, it didn't quite reach that level that Hell's Pit did for me. Because when I got excited for Hell's Pit, I mean, it delivered. And Hell's Cellar was kind of, it's a continuation. It wasn't like this is an absolute necessary to own. I mean, if you collect the Wraith, if you like the artwork, if the Wraith means something to you, great. Keep it. Love it. Get this EP. If you're looking for the lost tracks, I mean, feel free to just listen to them. The link's down in the description if you want to listen to it in its entirety. That's really it. Hell's Cellar it's good. It's there. It's not what I'd hoped. It's not the worst thing I heard from the Insane Clown Posse. And I will say this, getting to a little bit of the speculation piece here. If this was any sign of what I would hear from FFFF, all right, you know what? I'm a little more comfortable with the album coming out, and it actually gets me a little excited for it. I felt like Violent J, definitely, I think it was he did a lot of these tracks. He did a lot of on what was Hell's Pit. We heard a lot more Shaggy on Hell's Pit, very little again on Hell's Cellar. And I think that he did he spent time in the studio and he just went along these songs. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to record these. And he did good. Got to give it to the guy. Hell's Cellar, it's not bad, especially when you catch the message with it. If you look back at the story, if you look back at the Joker cards, this is a revisit to the first deck, which means something to me. It definitely gave me that throwback. It definitely gave me that nostalgia feeling. And for that, I think that this album gets 1, 2, 3 out of 5 devil horns. Not bad. And again, I wanted more from it. I wanted it to quench my thirst, my hunger for Wraith, for the violence and the anger and all of that, and it fell short. Had we had more Shaggy on there, I'd probably been like, that's what's up, because Shaggy would have thrown in something, he would have added something to it. Instead, we heard mostly Violent J. However, the song's good, all of them decent. Alakazam, Big Bad Wolf, The rest of it, though, like I said, I thought it was a great atonement and a great addition, and to the point of where if you absolutely loved the Wraith as much as I did, this would be necessary for you to own with Shangri-La, Hell's Pit, The remixes of both the albums, the poster artwork. Like, the Wraith is just one of the best, well done Joker cards as far as concept. And Hell's Cellar, it sort of delivered. It did its job for what the album stood for and what it meant and the cleverness of it. I had to give it 3. Had to. I would have hoped for more. I would have loved to have seen more. I would have loved to have heard more. And it just wasn't quite there to get 4 or 5. But the quality of it stood for something. It definitely was a revisit. And for that, and it being the year of Hell's Pit for the Gathering, not bad. Not bad. Well done. Good job, Violent J, and for the little bit that Shaggy did. Aces to everybody. So, honestly, that's it. Like, that's my review of Hell's Cellar. It was good. It was good. Not my favorite. Certainly not the worst thing I've heard off of Psychopathic Records or from ICP or anything like that. Again, good. With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, sorry if you guys were like, oh man, Sid was not that pumped. Sid was not that excited. Meh. But if you ain't down with this, fuck what you think, guys. And I'll see you guys in the Situation Room. Don't forget, we got a Pill God review coming up this week. I'm excited for that. I hope you guys are checking out. The link for the description for that as well is in the description. Links to RoxxTV and links to my Sid Jones channel, ladies and gentlemen, all down below. And please make sure you stay tuned because we're going on the road real soon. And I'll see you guys for Lethal Weekend.